Welcome back to Matchday Matinee. Each week, we take a look at the cinematic takes on the beautiful game and rank them. My name is Mark Guilherme, and joining me today is the man who I recently learned punched an 8-year-old in the face because he was having a laugh at his expense. This is Adam Ducker, joining me as always. How's it going, Adam?
Good, apart from you airing my dirty laundry on the internet, but sure. I mean, it was nearly 20 years ago now. 30 years ago even, actually.
We should add the caveat that it was 20 years ago, but I mean, inconsequential details. Yeah. Joining us today is our guest, Chris Keem. Chris Keem is the CEO of the Oahu League of Youth Soccer. Chris, we met you when you were the GM of our local lower league club, North Mississauga. You did a phenomenal job of raising the bar there, raising the standards of that organization. You can see the crest there on Adam's jersey. But great meeting you. We've kept in touch, and we're so happy to have you on the show today. How's it going?
Good.
Good.
Nice to be here. Nice shirt, Adam.
Thanks.
I didn't have that one. That's the one I won that I never got.
So nice.
So give it to us. We can see a bit of the background there. I know you told us
Yes.
That's your actual deck in Hawaii, but
Yes.
what are the major differences between Mississauga and Hawaii? If there's any.
Oh, a little bit of water, a little bit of heat.
Fair enough.
Mississauga has seasons. There are no seasons there unless you go to Target or Starbucks. Then there's a different season coming up. So,
Pumpkin spice, baby.
Pumpkin spice. There you go. Well, they got the nice apple macchiato ones that aren't too bad right now. So
That's not bad. That's good year round.
Yeah.
But so, what was the move like for you moving to Hawaii and taking on that new role?
It was weird because it's smaller than the whole league's smaller than North Mississauga. So there's only 4,500 players, but we get to play all year outdoors.
That's right.
We do play futsal, so that's a little weird that we have indoor soccer there, or indoor version of a game of soccer, which costs a lot of money because outdoor soccer is cheap. You're not playing on turf, but there's no lights, so everything's during the day. So we only play games on Saturdays and Sundays. It's just interesting because the biggest club has 700 kids, The biggest club in Ontario's got over 10,000 kids. So it's a much bigger difference to deal with. But it's fun.
It's kind of on that topic. What's the soccer culture like in Hawaii?
It's a very athletic culture. So, you see a lot of NFL players and whatnot. There was a study done by Top Drawer Soccer last year or 2 years ago on the amount of Division I soccer players. Hawaii's got the most per capita on the girls' side. We've got a fair amount of professionals coming through on the men's side as well, and on the women's side in the NWSL and overseas and whatnot. Oh, nice. So we actually do quite well for how many kids we have registered to play soccer. So, there's some great little talent out there, being really close to Asia. The teams go to Japan and whatnot a lot as well, instead of just coming to the US or Mexico to play games. So they travel a lot, but it's very interesting. So
I'm guessing like the destination itself is kind of it's an appealing move for a lot of people that want to play professional soccer, even semi-professional, right? The environment itself of being in Hawaii, and like you're saying, playing around.
Yeah, if we had a team, that'd be great. That's what we're trying to get to at some point. Try to form like a 6-team league, kind of like League One or USL 2 or NPSL. Yeah. I don't know how well that's going to happen, but we're trying things with the youth side of things to create a state league with various islands. There's 4 islands really that have leagues. We're the biggest one. We make up 94% of all the registered soccer players in Hawaii. So we're trying to work it out with them, and eventually, a couple of years from now, maybe that will happen. That would be good. Give the kids a place to play that are from the island. We have a whole bunch of people, I'm sure, that want to come fly in and play in a summer league.
Yeah, definitely.
Because people wouldn't want to play in Hawaii.
I think the last professional team that you guys had was Team Hawaii in NASL in the 70s.
Yeah. They had sweet jerseys, yes.
Yeah. But that was, that's like what, 40 or 50 years ago now, I want to say?
Yes, 70s. Like the 80s. Yeah, late 70s, early 80s. I think they were only around for 1 year. I think the Athletic...
77, 78, I want to say.
Was that it? Yeah, The Athletic did an article on them, so it was really really interesting to read that this past year while I was there. So,
Yeah, they do amazing work. So let's get to know you. Which club do you support?
Liverpool.
Why is that?
Yeah. Craziness. When I was 12, I want to say, I was at a soccer tournament, saved up all my money to buy a soccer jersey at the soccer tournament, indoor soccer tournament at Gannon University, because I knew every year there was the soccer store there. And there were 2 jerseys that I really liked. and it was a purple one and a red one. And the red one, it was the old Equipment A and the old Adidas Equipment A and the old Adidas Equipment B. So the stripes here or the stripes just down this way. And so I could have been an Anderlecht fan or a Liverpool fan. So
That's quite a contrast.
So that's how it came. So the old candy Liverpool jersey, and then for some reason in Erie, Pennsylvania, soccer was a big deal. Gannon and Mercyhurst College are there, and they were top 4 in NCAA Division II. So a lot of foreign kids. They had soccer magazines in the grocery store, which in the late 80s, early 90s, if you go anywhere in the U.S., no one had soccer magazines, but somehow they had like Match of the Day. And Liverpool was in the FA Cup, and they had. Cool. I was like, "Oh, that team that I have their jersey for. I'll just get this magazine," and got all the posters and hung them up in my house. And that's pretty much how.
That's got to be like a store owner who's an expat or something, just keeps it stocked on the shelf for whatever reason.
It was literally a giant eagle, so basically like a Fortino's type grocery store. Just
that's interesting. Somebody worked that deal.
Yeah, someone did.
What's the highest level of football you've played?
College soccer. So,
which college?
Buffalo State.
Right, and you were also part of was it FC Buffalo at one point for NPSL?
It used to be called FC Buffalo, or not FC Buffalo. It's called FC Buffalo now. It was called Queen City when I owned it. I was the owner, along with 4 other guys from my college, and we played for a national championship in 2007. So we sold it in 2009, I want to say, to a group that moved over from England, and then they sold it on to the guys who called it FC Buffalo. So it started back in 2006, and it's been going ever since. And Nick does a great job with FC Buffalo. They've been around for 10 years now or something like that.
And that's the NPSL.
NPSL, yeah.
Same league as Detroit City FC, I think it is.
Yeah, Detroit City was in it. I moved on to work for the league. So Detroit City I brought in, Chattanooga I brought in. I brought in a lot of the MLS teams before they formed that deal with the USL. So I had brought in Chicago Fire, DC United's team, and New York Red Bulls. And so it was really cool to bring all those teams in. Then they formed that deal, and they all had to leave to the USL league. But it's been an interesting career. Then I moved to Canada and worked for some pretty large youth clubs here, and worked my way up and became the head guy, the operations manager, general manager of 3 different clubs here, and got lucky to get back into the semi-pro game with North Miss, along with the other parts of the organization. And I thought we did some really cool things. So
that's very cool, man. I'm sure it won't be long until Amazon comes knocking for a documentary series about your life.
Oh, yes. Sure.
I mean, if Jamie Vardy can do one about what is it, Rochester NYFC now or something like that?
Yeah, whatever the Rhinos are called now. Yeah,
the Rochester Raging Rhinos.
Yes. Oh yeah. It will be called "Don't Work in Youth Soccer" if you want to. If you don't want blood pressure pills, get out
Maintaining your sanity.
Yes.
Oh, that's cool. We were lucky to have you at Saga for a while there. One of the reasons we were lucky to have you there actually was because you brought on some pretty sweet kits. You signed a deal with Inaria.
Yes.
Is one of our favorite kit manufacturers located in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the kits that you had created while you were with North Mississauga is one that Adam has right now. Adam, what are you wearing today?
I'm wearing whatever season would be, 2019.
2019.
Away kit.
Yeah.
And it is for audio listeners. It's the only purple kit I think I've ever liked. It's got super cool, unique design, and the badge is just amazing. Just the way it's this stamped, rubber thing. It's
polyurethane type
embossed.
thing.
Yeah, it's so nice.
Yeah,
and it's just a nice fitting kit.
That was
just for working out.
That one.
It's a really good kit.
It's got I think the actual design itself is the North Mississauga Panther head, and it's kind of been sublimated across.
Yeah.
Awesome kit. I wish I got that
really
one.
Cool kit.
I think
I keep asking for them just to make me 1 or 2 extra, just because I want one. It's the only one I didn't get that I liked. I got the red slash one, but or the white,
the River Plate.
The River Plate one. Yeah,
credit River Plate.
One. Yeah, but I spilled coffee in it or something. Something spilled on it on a recent trip, and I opened up my suitcase and I was like, "What the heck?" So
sucks.
It's all ruined.
Frame it and hide the stain.
Exactly.
Chris, you're also wearing an Arya kit, I
I
believe.
am. Yeah, we had them make Hawaii kits, although they misspelled Oahu, so that kind of upset me and made it very hard to sell sell it in Hawaii. Made it very difficult. But this is the white and green and orange one that came out really nice. Same kind of logo, nice little
Very cool.
extra logo.
So what did you guys use that for?
We gave these to our champions, our league champions. So there was this one, and then like a pink one as well. That came out really nice, pink and champagne. So
Pink champagne, right? I was gonna say pink,
yes.
but yeah, champagne's a better descriptor of it.
Yeah.
As for myself, I'm wearing the 2019 TFC Authentic kit. Haters will call it plain. I call it clean. It's got details in all the right places. I love the collar. I'm not much for like a button collar if it rides up too high, but this is almost like the perfect mid-neck length. Adam, I think you have this kit as well, right?
Yep, I bought it in a sale recently for like next to nothing.
Same here.
It's a nice kit. Like you can tell the difference, right, with those authentic kits, the quality of them, and the same as you. I usually hate button-up collars, but this one's kind of the right height. And even like if it's unbuttoned, it's not. It still looks okay and stuff. Yeah, it's a nice kit.
Your chest hair is not popping out of it.
It's exactly.
Perfect fit. Yeah, it's a large too, and usually like a TFC large looks like it's painted on me. So this is. I'm enamored with this kit 100%, and I'll never get tired of seeing that star on there. And it's only on the Authentic, so you got to get the Authentic for that. Okay, boys, it's time to talk about this week's movie. So, Chris, from day one, you've been telling us you got to do Mean Machine.
Yeah, you have to.
You have to do Mean Machine.
Yeah.
So we're doing Mean Machine, Chris. It took us 3 seasons, but we got there.
I know. It's been long enough. Long overdue.
So I'm gonna bother you later on about why you made us review this. You didn't make us review this. You suggested it a few times.
Yes.
We obliged. So this is Mean Machine. It was released on Boxing Day 2001 at a budget of £2.5 million. Adam, help me on the conversion on that one.
Canadian dollars, it would be
US. Let's say US.
US, like 4 something.
4 million?
Yeah.
That's not bad. So it had a box office take of $7.5 million US. So it more than broke even. I'm sure they didn't put too much of a marketing budget into this, so not too bad. This is a remake based on 1974's Longest Yard, starring Burt Reynolds. That film was remade a second time in 2005, starring Adam Sandler. Both of those featured American football as opposed to association football. How familiar are you guys with those films, Adam?
Not seen either of them.
No? Chris?
The original, yes. Obviously, that's a classic. So, yeah, that was like a social commentary type movie back in the day.
But you haven't seen the remake?
No.
That's interesting. So I've seen the remake with like Adam Sandler, Burt Reynolds who came back for it.
Yeah.
Bill Goldberg, a bunch of other kind of like 2005 action stars.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting mix-up. So I've seen the remake. Chris, you've seen the original. Adam, you've seen neither. So this should be interesting.
Yes.
So this is the lone directorial feature by Barry Skolnick. He would not work again until 2009 when he directed a series called 10-Minute Tales. And I've never heard of it, but if you look at it, it's got a bunch of really well-known British actors. Timothy Spall is in it. Peter Spall or Timothy Spall? Timothy Spall. That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
Timothy Spall's in it and a bunch of other Harry Potter-ish actors. This was produced by Ska Films, who I hadn't heard of until I did some Googling, and I found out that Ska was actually the precursor to Marv Studios. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with Marv Studios. That's the Matthew Vaughn back studio. They've produced like an amazing roster of films.
Matthew Vaughn's names are in the credits somewhere on there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Seeing them.
He's one of the producers on here. So Marv Studios has done Eddie the Eagle, which is another great sports film. Long Stock, obviously. Kick-Ass, Kingsman, Rocketman, the recent Elton John movie. Of course, Layer Cake and Stardust, which is another great British comic book fantasy movie. Not sure if you guys have seen it. Chris, if you haven't seen it, watch that one with your daughter.
I've seen most of them, yes. Don't forget Snatch. You're missing that one.
Snatch is in there as well,
Yeah.
That was directed by Guy Ritchie, right?
Yeah. Snatch and Long Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. Yeah.
I think there's also Rock and Roll. I don't know if I've seen that. I said that one, but that's another one that Dave did.
Oh, yeah.
I love that one.
Mm-hmm.
Cast time. Vinnie Jones as Danny Mean Machine Meehan, former England captain who winds up in Longmarsh prison after a drunken car chase with police. Vinnie Jones, I don't know if he needs a major introduction, but he had a 15-year career between 1984 and 1999, most prominently at Wimbledon. He's well known for Mean Machine. but I'd say his most famous home video appearance might be 1992's Soccer's Hardman. A bit of a how-to video and somewhat of a highlight reel of soccer violence. And his appearance ended up getting him a 6-month ban and a £20,000 fine. Do you guys remember this videotape?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Was it like notorious among you and your friends at that age? Passing it around and
I remember somebody having a copy for sure, and us not being allowed, and wanting a copy but not being allowed it. Like my parents not letting me.
Okay.
We definitely watched it at school on like end of term, like or Christmas
In
or
class?
something. Like someone brought it in and popped it on. Said, "Oh, it's the football highlights," and all the girls being like, "Oh." But that's one of those things where the teachers are like, "Okay, whatever wins the vote, we watch," and then the teacher just walks off and doesn't pay attention.
it was like a don't do what Timmy Don't does instructional video.
I'm pretty sure it was this one. I'm like 99% sure it was this one.
Chris, you've seen it?
Yeah, not a long time ago. Just an old bootleg copy of it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've got to seek it out. I miss those days when your friends would have like, one of my friends had like it was the mid 90s, so he had the Nine Inch Nails backstage concert VHS belonging to his older brother, and you would all gather around on like the one random TV in his basement because his parents wouldn't walk by. And I miss the days of like lurid VHSs. So violence, does that fall into the dark arts, or is that term more reserved for like diving and general like shithousery?
No, they were dark arts. That's dark arts, what they were doing. Yeah.
Cool. And again, like the whole shameful VHS thing is a bit hilarious to me because around the same time, every single Canadian had a copy of Rock'em Sock'em Hockey, like kicking around their VHS collection. So yeah, it's different sides of the ocean, but we have our parallels. Jones's Hollywood career continues to this day, and it's perfectly fine. It's not great, but it's good enough. I do think whenever he pops up, he creates memorable moments, though. For me, the Man United fan club president in Eurotrip is probably my favorite moment of his. But his turn as Juggernaut in X-Men Part 3 was fun as well because he said the line from the meme. Any favorite moments? Any other Vinnie Jones movies for you guys? I'm sure Longstock, there's got to be one.
Yeah, Lockstock. Oh gosh.
Is it Lockstock or Longstock? What have I been saying?
Lockstock
and two smoking
barrels. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm getting it mixed up with Pippi Longstock here.
Yeah, that's all right. Oh gosh. No, just when he comes out with the two big like guns, like big shotguns.
Shotguns,
or the hunting.
Shot.
That's just awesome.
Okay. My favorite moment is when he got the two beer bottles and he opens up with his eyeballs in Euro Trip. I think that was my introduction to Vinnie Jones, actually, Euro Trip. So
wow, really?
I've been a fan of him since. Yeah, exactly.
Come on, man. The crazy gang, man. He's part of the crazy gang.
Actually, he was in, and the car chase at the beginning of this movie reminded me, but he was in Gone in 60 Seconds.
Yeah.
So it reminded me of that. But yeah, so that's probably the first time I saw him, Gone in 60 Seconds. We get Jason Statham as Monk, a maximum security inmate who's killed 23 men with his bare hands, and that was before he learned karate. What to say about Jason Statham in this movie? It's one of his first appearances, and I think he does a great job. I think he showed in this movie that he could probably lead his own series.
Oh, yeah, for sure. He has a bunch of like scene stealing moments, doesn't he? For sure, especially during the game. Yeah, he's really good. He was obviously, out of all of the cast of players, he's like one of the standout ones, right?
Yeah, every time he pops up, it's kind of a marquee moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the show was in store too for his future. He became the face of the Transporter franchise, a major part of Fast and Furious, and also Expendables.
Yeah.
Which was led by Escape to Victory star Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
And that's another prison guard versus inmates movie. Danny Dyer as Billy Limpet, the lovable idiot. And honestly, I have no idea how this guy became the face of like football hooliganism media. And like,
yeah.
Oh, based on this performance, no. I'm saying he was in
Football Factory.
Human Traffic.
Yeah.
Human Traffic,
He played like a pillhead in Human Traffic and an absolute idiot.
Okay.
And it's just really weird how he seemed to bulked up a tiny little bit, grew up a bit, and just suddenly became a hard man.
And suddenly he's like, "Oh, I'm Donnie Dyer," and he's walking around. I'm here in Belfast. Let's see what's going on. It's like, okay, so it's not just me. We also get the wonderful David Kelly as Doc, an elderly inmate who we'll learn he has a tragic backstory. Voss Blackwood, does a bang up job as Massive, Danny's personal hype man and assistant manager.
Yeah.
David Hemmings as the governor, who I know is a prolific English actor, but his filmography is just completely foreign to me. But his eyebrows are certainly a choice in this movie and raise lots of questions. Does he actually style them that way?
Maybe.
And I've seen a couple of guys in Canadian soccer, a couple of guys in the leadership levels that have these kind of eyebrows. And there's certainly a conversation piece. So I just want to table that for later. I also want to give a shout out to Sally Phillips as Tracy, who is literally the only woman in this movie.
Is she legit the only woman?
Yeah, pretty much.
Non-background character, because there's a few women in the crowd at the soccer game, but she is literally the only female character in this movie.
Huh.
And Jesus, this film does not pass the Bechdel test, which is, can two women have a conversation? Not including
without
men?
a man. Yeah.
There's only one woman in this movie, so it doesn't count. Any thoughts and comments on the cast before we move on?
I also like Ralph Brown, who's the what's his name? Is it Burton? I think the prison officer. Yeah, the lead
Burton,
prison
right?
officer Burton. Yeah.
Yeah, the prison guards are actually really great characters. There's also Ratchet.
Yeah, Ratchet, who's Gary Wackett out of Mike Bassett.
Oh, really? Oh, okay,
Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah.
What the hell is his name? I've got it written here.
You got the Bobs, the announcer guys, Bob and
Bob and
That's
Bob, yeah.
Jason Fleming. He's also in a bunch of movies.
Yeah, he's in there. He's in the Lock, Stock, Snatch, and all those guys. So yeah,
He's also in X-Men. He was in the X-Men after Vinnie Jones. Those, okay, we'll get to Footy Flicks, but those two guys, Bob and Bob, highlighted the movie for me.
Yes, they are. They definitely are.
Okay, so let's move on to the plot. Unless you guys want to point out any other characters, you'll have the opportunity to later on.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep this short. If you guys want to interrupt anything so you don't forget about it later on, go for it. But I'm going to keep this to about 2.5 minutes. Danny Mean Machine Meehan is a retired former captain of England, now banned for life from the game he loves for his involvement in a match-fixing scandal on the international level. This leads Danny to the drink, and after a frenetic drunken police chase, Danny ends up sentenced to 3 years in Long Marsh prison. Danny's celebrity status gains him unwanted attention in the prison, especially from a governor who's pulled strings to get him there with the intention of having him manage the guards' football club. Meehan declines at first, but is persuaded by Doc to reconsider and counteroffer with the proposal of a guards versus inmates showdown. As Danny begins to build his side, we meet the inmates of Longmarsh, including the elderly Doc, fast-talking but friendly Massive, eager to please Billy the Limpet, high-strung Nitro, and maniacal Monk. We're also introduced to Sykes, a courtyard kingpin who holds ill will towards Danny for the aforementioned fixed match, in which Sykes lost a fair bit of cash. Through a series of violently comedic and poignantly violent scenes, the inmates begin to rally around Danny, and thus Mean Machine FC is born. For everyone but Nitro, that is, who's been attempting to earn a spot on the club with the intentions of being a mole to the guards. As retaliation, he places a bomb in Danny's cell, but instead of shutting down Meehan, he kills lovable old Doc just moments after we learned about Doc's sympathetic backstory. So it tugs at the heartstrings right at the right moment. Things go south for the governor of the prison, the actor with the crazy eyebrows, when he bets on a bum horse race, and Sykes convinces him to take a bet with his bookie for the upcoming prison match, favoring the guards to win. So at this point, we've hit the 60-minute mark of Mean Machine, and I'm going to hit pause on the plot so we can discuss all this before we get into the Footy Flicks portion of this. Chris, since episode 1, you've been requesting Mean Machine. What is it about this movie that struck such a chord with you?
Well, it's not the first half. The prison kind of stuff is kind of generic, but there's some cool scenes. Like when he first comes into the prison and he's walking up the stairs, it's like him walking up the tunnel, the way it's all quiet, and he's like going into the away fans, into the lion's den, and it's just like, okay. And then they're chanting at him, and it's kind of, that scene's kind of cool to me.
Okay, I like that mmetaphor. I didn't see that metaphor when I watched.
I've watched this movie a million times, so even before you guys sent it to me, I'm like, I already have it on DVD, man. I'm good.
It was a kind gesture, but I have my special edition Blu-ray, my Steelbook.
I was watching a theatrical
my laser
release.
disc.
I was like, you're sending me the American version. I have the theatrical release. I'm good. I have the English version.
What are the differences, if there are any?
A little bit of differences between just adding an American language to it, so the Americans can understand some things that weren't quite easily understood from the British version. So,
interesting.
Yeah, just a few things, just a few phrases. It's not a lot, but it just helps. But
get the American version on any future British films.
So
I don't have to learn what
I
pastels
think
are.
you gave me the American version. I can't remember. When I started watching it, I was like, wait, I have the theatrical version. I'll just watch it. The DVD, you can set it to either one on the DVD. So yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I know there's a slight difference, but not much. But yeah, no, it's like a very generic kind of prison movie. Like for the first hour, it's whatever. It is what it is. But we used to watch it on the bus to away games all the time. It was one of the movies that we always got. And that's why I was like, you have to watch it. And just the soccer scenes were hilarious. And that's why, for me, it's one of the better soccer playing movies just because it's so funny when they actually get to the soccer side of things and the football side of things. And, we had a kid at Buffalo State when I was coaching there as an assistant coach. He was Billy the Limpet, and we would just call him Billy the Limpet all the time. Poor Joey, like sweetest kid ever, just like Billy, but about as useless as Billy sometimes. But he did score once in a while. But he looked like him, he played like him, and we were just always bagging on him. But the everything about the first hour, it's okay. I mean, they try. It's very generic, but they were doing it for mass appeal, and that's why they couldn't make another Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels or Snatch. Those were too violent, pretty much, and this was kind of violent, but not nearly as violent as those two. But
see, that's the interesting thing about the violence in this movie. It's so uneven.
Mm-hmm.
There's a moment where it's playing like really poignant music, where it's like sad cello, and a guard is being racist and beating up a guy, and you're supposed to feel really bad about everything that's happening. But then 10 minutes later, they're beating up Billy Limpet for like comedic value.
Yeah.
And they're like, Billy, get up again. And they knock him over. And then.
Oh, and they're doing like the rough play, the tricks.
It's like
that's
violence
right there.
Is violence bad or is violence good in this movie? It's kind of confusing, right?
Yeah.
Adam?
Yeah. I kind of feel the same. Like that Chris kind of summed up well, that generic. It almost feels like they wanted to find every single prison cliche they could possibly fit into an hour before they actually come to the football. And you get lost amongst them. I almost feel like it would have benefited from having less players that we are supposed to care about, or like less stories to tell, because it tells a whole bunch of, it's got a whole like crew, and it's like an hour's not long enough. Like if this was a series, you could learn about all those characters. Like it's got as big a cast as something like Ted Lasso, but doesn't give any time to any of them because it's got to get to Vinnie Jones having his moment being the captain on the pitch. And then those. So you mentioned the one like the racist fight, but then I also struggled to get too emotive about Doc's story about why he was there and his regrets, because I was like, tonally, this doesn't fit in here.
No.
You're talking about the same film where Vinnie Jones gets put in solitary confinement and starts doing tricks with a tennis ball rather than pondering anything about why he's there or anything. Someone slips him a tennis ball and he starts doing like keepy uppies and putting it behind his head and stuff. And it's just like, it's so weird. It's like, talk about like whiplash between different tones. It's crazy.
Yeah, they try to emulate like Shawshank in some scenes, but then at the same time, they try to emulate like inappropriate, hasn't aged well, don't drop the soap in the shower type comedies. And it doesn't work. It's really pedestrian too, but at the same time, it's a remake. So they're literally not trying to tread new ground here.
That's true, yeah. The remake that's like a vehicle for Vinnie Jones to kind of be a lead in his own right, I guess. Yeah. Up until this point, it's kind of been ensemble like gangster movies and stuff.
Yeah. I think it was Matthew Vaughn and Guy Ritchie, the two of them that kind of said like, let's make a movie for Vinnie Jones.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, man, I wish I had friends like that.
Yeah.
Drop $4.5 million on a movie just for me to be a star. But I don't know if I'd say it was successful in making Vinnie Jones a star, but it grew his name in the household terms a little bit. Maybe less so than Eurotrip, but that's debatable. Opening up the movie, we get that Umbro commercial, which I love.
Yeah, so he kicks the ball at the car and it blows up. Yeah.
I wish we had more of those commercials. I mean, Nike used to put out some great ones every couple of years before major tournaments. We don't see that anymore. TFC had one the other day I saw on TV where the guys were wearing full kits and they were using like Ryobi power tools to build a house or something like that.
I have not seen that one. I'll keep an eye out.
Yeah, those are always charming when they come on. But yeah, so the Umbro commercial in the beginning of this, loved it. The car chase at the beginning of the movie, did that not remind you of that DVD opening scene when you would load up the DVD, and it said you wouldn't steal a car.
Oh, you wouldn't steal a car.
The car is driving around.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1-to-1 comparison on those is the exact same.
Yeah.
Any other scenes that stick out to you guys? I mean, obviously there's lots. There's the scene where Danny starts to pick his team, and you get the jumpers for goalpost scenes where he's running through the players. Is that even really necessary? Adam, you were saying, do we need to have this many characters? And that's almost like the second montage we get where we kind of get each player's playing ability.
Is that why he's like ranking them, right? Based on the shot they take? Yeah.
I could have.
It's just like you only need like 3 players or something that we care about.
Yeah, and we've already seen that there's a group
everyone
of players
has a name that constantly gets mentioned. Like, no real, like, there's Trojan. He doesn't really have any depth apart from the fact that he doesn't play a pass ever.
Yeah.
Things like that. It's just weird. Like, it's like, why? You could have combined some of those traits into one character.
I was just going to say, you probably could have combined Raj and Trojan.
Yeah, made him not passing something that's manifested in the reason he's in jail or something. You could have. I'm looking too deep.
I think he was just another guy from Snatch and Lockstock that they were just like, one part of the crew, you're this one too. So
that is the thing. Like, a large part of this crew is just that.
It's that crew from those games, or from those movies,
Yeah, that's the thing. Like you're saying, those didn't need to be fully fleshed out, or even as much as they could, fleshed out characters. Like that guy Raj. There was another character in here who had kind of like a Chuck Liddell, like the Mohawk. You see him in one scene where he's lifting the barbell with one hand. That could have been another Raj character where you see this kind of chubby Iranian guy go for a bicycle kick, land on his ass, and that's all you need, right? You don't need to have him introduced as another cellmate. So yeah, they could have clipped. You know what? They wanted to get to 60 minutes, I think it was. So they just introduced a lot of this stuff. But yeah, they could have built out a lot more of the story. And I think one storyline that probably could have been cut was the whole governor's betting scandal thing for me. There's a lot of whispering on the phone and wasn't really intriguing to me at all.
I guess it was the only way to work in the. They desperately wanted to work in the angle of him being involved in match fixing again, right?
Oh, Danny.
That's the other thing that's weird, because Danny goes to a jail basically for speeding, but every other past crime he's ever done is considered when he's sentenced, and it's just like he's done everything under the sun. He's been done for violence before, he's been done for match fixing, like all these other things. And the governors, that's the only way for that to really create any tension in that last game. Otherwise, the tension just becomes an actual football game, which would be unthinkable. Right? There has to be outside tension, I guess.
They'd be playing for pride, and how dare they? Yeah. Chris, you're not defending this movie very much.
Like I said, the soccer part is the good part of the movie. So the first 60 minutes, not so much. My thing on why this movie should be looked at is because of the soccer part of the movie.
Okay. Leading up to the soccer scene.
Leading up to it, I agree. Not that great.
One thing, this kind of boggled my mind, but we got the training scenes with the guards, and they're playing that song, Night on Bald Mountain, which is like this very imposing song, and they look kind of like there's like fascist undertones to what they're doing.
Yeah, I wrote in my notes.
Pain is temporary.
Empire.
Yeah, exactly.
Star Wars, so
Okay, but why would Umbro have their branding all over this team? They're training with like the big so it's really weird that they were sponsored this movie, but they give the kits to the Mean Machine at the end, but they're also like plastered all over these like fascist guards. It's very strange.
Yeah, I don't know. And like the Mean Machine, aren't branded Umbro?
They are.
When they get their kits, they are,
I think it eventually swaps, right? Because the guards
wear those striped ones in the game, in the match, which I don't think they have a brand at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, and then Mean Machine gets actually some like really nice long sleeve black kits. Yeah.
Smuggled in. Yeah, they're pretty nice.
I'd be very surprised if somebody hasn't reproduced a version of that for sale.
I did a bit of Google searching, and you can find them, but it doesn't look like there's any current runs of them. But man, that would be something cool for like, because the crest itself of Mean Machine is the skull and crossbones, with like a draped over banner. That would be something really cool for Kit and Bone to take on.
Yeah.
Right? Like Kit and Bone Machine or something like that. So we've hit the 60-minute mark. Is there anything else you guys want to discuss within this movie leading up to this point?
No. It's just an average prison movie, like with tons of cliches and
cliched,
too many
generic
characters. Yeah, generic,
uneven.
I think some things are of its time as well. Actually, I thought about because we didn't really touch on. Doc ends up dying because a dirty bomb is planted in Danny's room,
Right.
where the videotape. If this film had come a tiny bit later, because it was 2001, I don't think they would have included a dirty bomb, because there was like those London bombings and stuff in the underground that used dirty bombs and stuff. So it was just a weird thing that might have been a little bit too close to just casually throw into like a prison comedy. Yeah, it's just interesting. And they go to great lengths to like show that crazy guy building the dirty bomb on his bed.
Nitro.
Yeah, Nitro. Yeah, that's it.
That guy was insane.
Yeah.
Acted really well.
And then it's interesting when they essentially section him, don't they, and send him to, they call it Broadhurst, which I guess is a mixture of Broadmoor and Parkhurst, which are both actual, like, very rough prisons for the high security prisons for people that need to go to such places, I guess.
Yeah.
They kind of trick him into going there, sign the paper, and then tell him that he's going.
That was another storyline that probably could have been cut out, but I think you needed to have Doc's storyline end with him being bombed. Just so Doc's storyline was that he had a row with somebody in his neighborhood. That guy was coming for him to get back at that guy. He threw a bomb through the guy's window. The guy's door was barricaded. He threw a bomb into the guy's window, or left over a surplus army grenade. He threw into the guy's window, and then turns out that guy's daughter and his baby were home, 13-month-old baby, was it? Mm-hmm. And all three of them died. That's why he gets sent to prison. He's there for his entire life. So I know they want to draw some symmetry with that and have him die by a bomb himself, but man, too heavy-handed. Yeah, way too heavy-handed. Okay, guys, sounds like you want to get to the footy flicks of this. So because 30 minutes of this movie is a soccer scene, I'm going to call this entire section footy flicks. I'm going to call an audible here and just say this is our footy flick section. We won't go back and discuss it. So at the 60-minute mark, the match starts ramping up, and I get pretty excited because I'm seeing there's over a third of the movie left going into it. But this match really felt like a third of the movie. It was long. It was really long, and like I'm just resigned at this point to admit to myself that you can't film a great soccer match in a movie. It's just too continuous. Like the sport of soccer is just too continuous to try and follow an entire match scripted. And we've seen, I think, in the best footy flicks throughout the first 3 seasons that we've done, it works best when you take one pivotal moment of the match that kind of flips the match on its head, whether it be a goal or a foul, and you just focus on that. Like Ted Lasso does that to perfection now, I think. But again, that's episodic, so they can take one moment from a match and build an episode out of that. But we've seen movies do that too. Like Summer of '92 did that with like a penalty shootout and match ending, stuff like that. Chris, you love the soccer scenes in this?
Yes, I do. But it's kind of crazy. I think there's like one scene that I didn't love in the soccer side. I'll be honest. Okay. It had to do with the monk. He was just it was too much of the monk's craziness in terms of his playing with the ball.
Which was that? Was that when he went out of net and just started dancing in front of the ball for some reason? They could have combined it with another one of his forays into what he was doing. Yeah. There's a couple times he just dribbled with the ball. Like, okay, we know he's nuts. Like those little things where, he's thinking of karate chopping and chopping everyone up and everything else, and he just catches the ball and he's diving all over the place. Those are hilarious. But come on. At the end, when you're getting into like Mean Machine turning heel or turning back from turning heel in the middle of the game back to turning back into the good guy and setting up Joey Olympic. Come on, you were like, yes, you felt it.
It is good. Like, this is I've always liked Danny Dyer, and this is a film I saw back in the day as well. So then when that ball gets played across him, it was like, yes.
And then the chanting, when they're up, 1-0, whatever, the guards chant, or not the guards, the guys inside, and and obviously the commentary makes the whole thing. Like those two guys.
Commentary is one of my favorite parts of this.
He's like, oh, he's ambidextrous. I don't know about that, but he sure
he sure can use his left and right feet.
Come on, that's a classic line. But
and it's funny because it's like so on the nose. Like commentators do say dumb things all the time, especially the second color commentators. And a lot of it just gets missed because it's so dumb. But they kind of do really good. A bit like how dodgeball does, right? Dodgeball's pretty good at some of those dumb.
Right, the Ocho.
Jason Bateman, yeah.
I think Dodgeball might be the best sports movie ever made. I will go out on a whim and say that.
Comedy? I'm
Yes.
not rewatch that. That's
sports comedy.
I don't
It
think
might
that's
be the
aged
best one.
well either.
Probably not. None of those have. Yeah.
No,
But no,
they're all in that era,
Yeah, but it's just funny seeing like the ref in this game, how he's trying to control the game and cards people, and then he doesn't card people. I'm like, like how could that be a card? And the guy just literally punched him right in front of him. It's nothing.
It's so strange. So the scene with Monk where the ball kind of flies up in the air and he looks at it for a second and then he goes into this like psychotic fantasy where Marilyn Manson fight song starts playing and then he just goes on a murderous rampage where he smashes one guy's head against the post. And that's played for complete laughs when earlier in the film we saw a guard almost beat an inmate to death and you're supposed to feel bad about that. This doesn't work for me. In isolation it works, but no. Adam, what were some of your favorite parts of this match?
I really like the comment. So when Billy comes on, the like comedy reel of him being useless, and it's set to baggy trousers from Madness. It's just I really like Madness, and it's just like he's absolutely fucking useless and just so off the pace, and like it's just so funny.
Is he useless though?
Well, ultimately not, I guess, because he has that finish, but.
So let's wrap up.
He has to run around the ball to finish it. Come on. It looks like a 6-year-old.
So we'll wrap up the plot on this one. So the guards play the Mean Machine. I'm just doing this from memory. I think it's 1-0. Mean Machine first.
Yes.
Yep.
Guards tie it up. And then at this point, the governor tells Danny Meehan, you better lose this. I have money on the game. If you don't toss this, I'm going to frame you for Doc's murder and say you were an accessory to murder because you knew that, or we're going to say that you knew that the bomb was in your cell and you sent Doc in there to be killed. His full term is 3 years for good behavior. He might get out in 12 months. So he knows I don't want to be here for 3 years. So he begins to throw the match. Then they go down 3-1. Danny has a change of heart.
Oh, wait. Okay. No, wait. It goes 2-0.
2-1. Yeah.
2-0.
Yeah. Then 2-1.
It does go to 3-1.
No, it goes to 2-1.
You sure?
Yeah. Because the match ends 3-2. It's 2-2 until Limpet scores, until the goal goes in at the end. Yeah. Until Billy scores that goal.
Yes.
I have it. I'll tell you what.
You got it?
I have 1-0 to the Mean Machine. Billy gets his chance in midfield. Trojan finally passes the ball and it's a second goal. And then that's when the two commentators said they might be locked in a cell for 23 hours a day, but they have their freedom tonight.
So at half, it's 2-1.
But Danny does. It's 1-0 at halftime. And Danny doesn't celebrate that second goal going in. And then that's when the monk pisses about doing his little things with his knees, and it becomes 2-1. And then Danny takes a fall at that point.
Isn't that when it becomes 3-1?
No, it becomes 2-2.
No, because the Mean Machine was winning at that point.
Jesus, I just watched this movie this afternoon. My memory sucks.
Yeah, it never becomes 3-1.
You know what else? I was
Yeah,
binging Ted Lasso and this at the same time. So not literally same time, but in between. I might have had the two mixed up.
So
No spoilers for Ted Lasso.
So Ratchet gets the goal and makes it 2-2.
2-2.
And everyone's despondent. And then that's when Danny, like his pride gets the better of him.
Yeah.
He kind of gets that smug look off the governor and he kind of just decides, nah, I'm going back on.
And then that's when they get that's when you see the Billy Limp goal.
Yes. Well, they do actually, they score before that as well. Because they do make it 3-2 and then it's called for an earlier foul.
Yeah.
And they're all angry about that.
And that's when the guard gets kicked in the nuts twice with the ball.
Yeah.
No, once in the nuts.
Twice,
yeah.
Right in the carrots and onions.
Yeah.
And then a handball at that point, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
It's a half-hour match. It's like watching an actual football match. Trying to recall it. It's nuts. So the Mean Machine end up winning 3-2.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Billy rifles it in and Let Me Entertain You by Robbie Williams plays. Everyone's ecstatic.
You guys
can tell
love
it's of
Robbie
that
Williams. He never really caught on here, but you guys love Robbie Williams.
It's from Take That, right?
Is that what it was?
Like girls cried at school when Take That split up, like legitimately.
Really?
It was hilarious at the time.
Rock DJ was a cool video. That's where he's like ripping parts of himself on. Yeah, I can appreciate that. So the best parts of this match for me were the commentary, Bob and Bob, renting carrots and onions, Shammy's useless Bob. There's just tons of stuff. They start fighting with each other when the fights break out.
Yes, that's
for
awesome.
the third goal.
Yeah, just before halftime.
Yeah. Other couple of cool things in here. I don't think we talked about the Sykes character too much, but he has some interesting moments in this. Sykes' whole thing about the newspapers soaked in acid. So the governor would bring in newspapers crosswords on the newspaper, and then he would sell strips of the newspaper that were soaked in acid to prisoners. Was the governor in on that? Because it seems like when he was trying to spite him, he gave him the newspaper that had been rained on, so the acid would have run off.
I hadn't thought about that. Maybe.
Kind of picked up on that.
Yeah, he seemed to know everything else that was going on.
I think he let it go as long as he's getting the horse betting information.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then when the horse that he bet on lost, that's when all of a sudden the newspaper got rained up. Yeah. So he might have been in on that whole thing. Yeah, the Sykes character for me was great, and he had the whole character turn. He had his mea culpa where he was kind of riding Danny for the entire thing, and then he comes to his defense and tells him, "You're not getting away with this," to the governor. Sets Danny free, and then the guards after the match, they kind of have respect for the Mean Machine. Burton, the character you mentioned before, says, "You're not going to frame him on my watch." They all kind of stick up for Danny. But the thing is, Danny still has like 11 months in this jail.
Yeah. Like 10 tomorrow, the prison guard is going to be back on his ass.
Beat the crap out of him. Yeah, because the other guard, not Burton, what was the other guy's name? Ratchet?
Ratchet,
yeah. He stomped on Ratchet's calf and like put him in the hospital. So that guy's still going to get out, be pissed about everything.
That's great.
Yeah, great misdirection with the final shot where it looks like Danny's going to score, but of course Billy, the useless limpet, gets his moment. And that wraps up the footy scene. Pretty good, pretty bad. What's the verdict?
I do on a technical point of view, I think the football's actually pretty good, and I don't know how they do some of it. I don't know, like they play like the odd long range pass and it will go to someone's foot and they take it down. So I don't know, but they're always zoomed out. So I don't know if they're using extras that are actually players or something.
They're zoomed out, and this is one other thing with the direction of this entire movie is that they use like 10 cuts when 2 would do. Because there's even a moment where a player gets up from a foul, and there's literally 4 cuts in the moment he gets up. It's like they're taking different takes and they're mashing them all together. Even that scene poor Tracy, we mentioned her once in the credits and we didn't talk about her again. She's the receptionist for the governor, and she helps Danny Meehan out by giving him game tapes of the prison guards. But in exchange for that, she sleeps with Danny, and I'm guessing they didn't want Danny to have a love interest, but they wanted to show that he could at least still get women. I'm not sure.
But there's the thing as well, though, right? So, like, there's one woman in the whole film who happens to find Danny irresistible and needs to have him right there and then. And it's like, really? Like, it's just like such a misogynist view of everything.
I just had a light bulb, and I'm going to come back to it later.
It's the underuse of Sally Phillips as well. Sorry, she's like English royalty. Like, it's been in so many sitcoms and stuff. Yeah,
she was great in this. Yeah, for what she did. Yeah,
she's in Smack the Pony. She was in the first season of I'm Alan Partridge. She's just really good. A whole bunch Green Wing as well. Part of that for a while. She's been in so many. Even if it's just guest appearances, a whole bunch of sitcoms. Skins for an episode.
Really, first couple seasons.
I think the first season of Skins.
I think I made up to season 4, and then they did the whole cast change, and I dropped off. But the first 4 were great, So the reason I brought her up is that scene where she is making out with Danny Meehan. There's like 4 cuts from the point where she starts unbuttoning his shirt to the point where she kisses him. And he's just nonstop. And this director only made 1 movie, so I guess it's kind of amateur on his part. Yeah,
didn't know how to direct the scene properly, so it's like, let's just get you to do everything 20 times, and it'll work in edit. Somebody will figure out in post production. Yeah,
and directorial wise, or like even just the way the movie was shot, there is all of that, but then there was a ton of wipes in the movie. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. Like I felt I was watching Star Wars at a lot of points. Like when you don't know how to cut to another scene, you just wipe across. Like a star wipe.
Especially obviously during the prison thing where it's literally jumping from cliche to cliche to cliche.
Yeah, and then you get the wipe across.
It's like, let's just wipe between each of these stories and get through them because we know all you want to do is watch football.
Yeah. I mean, for the guy's one directorial film, it wasn't the worst thing ever, but like the movie was missing a lot of style, I found. And like worse off too because it's produced by Guy Ritchie and Matthew Vaughn, and like Guy Ritchie films like Lock, Stock and like Rock and Roller for me, which is one of my favorite like British films. There's either like a ton of like high energy, like just kinetic cuts where somebody's getting punched and it's slow motion for a second, zoom in and out, or there's like a lot of like brutalist feeling to it where it just feels really raw. And there was none of that in this film. It was all kind of like, here's an elbow, move on to the next scene. It was just completely lacking in that.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. I think that might be all of the Footy Flicks. Anything else you guys want to add?
No. There's only one other thing I want to mention. Just after the Footy Flicks, when the governor's car blows up, because I guess he's getting caught up by his gambling debts. It looks like the whole prison is on fire, but it's just one car that's blowing up, and it's just like, what the hell?
Amazing.
Because I was like, what's happened? Did they riot and blow up the whole prison? Like,
no, but it was soaked in kerosene, right? Because we get that one scene where the bookie threatens the governor.
He sniffs his car. Yeah.
He goes up to his car and he sniffs it, and then there's a gas can in there with a bow on it and stuff like that. So yeah, the whole car was soaked in kerosene.
Yeah, I suppose it just looks weird, really weird because it plumes up and it like covers the whole expanse of the skyline.
It was like.
And how about the really nice pitch at the prison? Like,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But actually, so that brings me to another point. It's a really good book called Manslaughter United, which is about a prison football team and how they navigate. It's like a season in the life of this football team. It was at HMS Kingston, which was sort of near Portsmouth a little bit. And they don't play on a grass pitch like this. They play on this. I think they play on turf. But like horrible, like
it'd be cement.
First generation turf.
Oh, so they're actually playing on turf.
Yeah, but like
just not
old,
bad.
like crappy turf where like you get burnt if you slide on it.
The prison scenes were filmed at HM Prison Oxford, and the match was filmed at the Warren, former home ground of Yeating. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
which I think is defunct now. Yeah, 2007 they went out of business. All right. So
yeah, it is weird how they have such a good pitch. But actually, the governor, that's covered because the governor talks about how much money he's plowed into the team, doesn't he? Yeah. So that presumably includes the facilities.
Oh, look at their physio, like everything they've got. Their facilities, they're like professional team grade stuff.
Well, he does say they play, is it a semi-professional league in the
like
Southern Division?
Like the 7th tier or something like that, yeah. I swear, that's what it said.
Prison Guard. I swear there's like a few Trinidadian clubs that are like Police FC. I know there's like a Joe Public FC.
Oh, yeah, there is.
They're Sheriff FC in the Champions League, right?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. But are they actually made up of like former police corps and stuff? Really?
I think it started off as that. It's just like a lot of the teams that started off, like a lot of the Russian teams, they're Siska, Moscow, and all those. They're the army team. And
in Portugal, we have like just tons of teams that were based off of the local factory. Actually, Cruz Azul is a cement company. Yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
That's like Wolfsburg in Germany as well, isn't it? The
Volkswagen
team. Yeah.
And Bayer Leverkusen.
Yeah.
So does that equate to Red Bull, New York? Is that kind of the same thing in your mind?
Because
that bothers a lot of people.
I suppose the history books in 100 years' time will tell you yes.
You mean RB Leipzig? Or
RB Leipzig?
Red Bull? Yeah. Well,
what's the other one?
It's Rosenball, so it means lawn bowling.
Oh, yeah.
Because they can't be
because
owned
you're not allowed to use the acronym.
Yeah.
What's the other one? There's RB Leipzig and the one that Jesse March was at.
Salzburg.
Yeah.
And Jesse March is now at Leipzig.
Oh, he moved over to Leipzig? A while ago, right?
Yeah. This year.
This season,
He's the head coach, yeah.
I think he was at Red Bulls at one point. I don't mind it. I mean, Red Bulls.
He was at Red Bull New York. Then he went to Leipzig to be the assistant. Then he went to Salzburg to be the head coach. Now he's at Leipzig as the head coach.
Look at him, man. And he came from Montreal Impact at one point.
Yeah.
Montreal Impact fired him 10 years ago.
There's a great story of him doing his my buddy and him were doing their A license in the US. And my buddy had his topic was something on the holding midfielder and his role in switching the point of attack. And Jesse was a holding midfielder. I think he had a couple caps with the U.S. national team. So Jesse is playing. He's doing the role perfectly. And my buddy can't get his coaching point across. And he goes up to Jesse. He's like, Jesse, next time the ball goes wide, in his ear, run forward, like play out of position. and so Jesse just won't do it. And he's like, Jesse, go forward. Like, so Jesse goes forward and the ball comes in, the ball goes to where Jesse should have been. He's like, freeze, Jesse, why would you go forward? Why don't you just come here, get the ball and play it this way to the opposite wing and go? And then they're like, all right, good. You got your point. You're done.
Jesse, you piece of trash.
What are you thinking?
All right. So that I still can't tell. I can't read the room here and see if you guys like the Footy Flicks or not. It seems like
I love the Footy Flicks because most movies, like you said, don't do a good job. It may have been a little too long. The cuts may have been a little too much. But on the whole, I think the play was better than most footy movies. And it was comedic, which I enjoyed. So that's why I love this movie.
Adam, are you giving it a thumbs up, thumbs down, Footy Flicks?
Oh, thumbs up. I think they're better than some. It doesn't fall into the typical tropes we've seen of only show the top or the bottom half of the player so you don't have to see them do stuff all the time. It's got comedic stuff. Like the comedy in this stuff is better than some of the stuff we've seen in other movies. Like it's funnier than...
That bar is low though, man. That's a low
funnier
bar.
Like the comedy stuff in this is funnier than kicking and screaming, which is again, like you just said, low bar. But
Kicking and screaming is
less
awful.
This is less dumb funny and just genuinely funny. Like when Wackett gets kicked in the balls twice, like that's funny. Ratchet, sorry. That's funny. Maybe the first time, maybe not the second time.
The monk stuff is hilarious when he's diving over, doing cartwheels in the air and saving the ball. Yeah, that stuff's great.
You see, my problem with that is because we'd already had that scene where he imagined beating up all the players. I couldn't decide.
So
I couldn't think in my head, is he actually making these saves or are they all just in his head and really just routine saves?
No.
But I guess it wasn't because it didn't cut to like grey or anything.
I was gonna say it's monochrome when he's imagining his psychopath vision. Man, so this is gonna be one of the few times I think we disagree on this show. I thought this was way too long.
It's
we
too
could have
long
done
for
with
sure.
half of this.
Yeah.
But then also by the same token, I really wanted the prison stuff to be over, as I am so over this boring generic prison story.
Yeah, but that doesn't speak well to like, let's get to let's skip past this and get right to the soccer match, right? Yeah, I thought it was too long. And I would have loved to have seen maybe half of the stuff that we saw in this. I mean, we didn't need Monk to go crazy 3 times before apologizing. And
even Danny's like turning point moment lasted forever, right? In deciding whether he was going to throw the game or not. And what
he gets fouled at one point. He's on the floor for like 3 minutes. And it's like, we get it. He's injured. They just need to get that 90-minute mark.
He sat on the bench for like what seems like an eternity trying to decide what to do.
Okay.
And it's like, just get up.
Favorite character in this movie?
It's got to be Danny Dyer. Billy. Man. Just because he's funny.
So annoying.
Yeah, I know. That's why I like it, though.
No. Gotta be Bob and Bob. They're the two best.
Bob
steal it. Yep, Bob and Bob.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Bob Likely, which was Jason Fleming. Mm-hmm. He was my favorite in this movie. Too many funny lines for me to not like him. Massive was also one of my favorite characters in this movie.
His energy.
He played well. Yeah, great character.
It's ironic.
Least favorite character?
Least favorite? I didn't see the point of literally the Iranian dude, to be honest.
I found him funnier than Billy Limpet, though.
That's true. He was funnier than Billy Limpet, but there's
I wonder why he's in the film. He's a comedian.
I've seen him in other things.
Omid Dajali, I think is his name.
I think there are just too many minor characters for it that just kind of drug the movie on a bit. But
half the cast.
Yeah.
Okay, so if they were to remake this movie a third time, who would you want in that title role? Or is there anyone who can still pull it off? Or is that whole hard man look a bygone era?
Fourth time, you mean?
Third time.
No,
fourth time?
Yeah.
Oh, third time. You got Longest Yard. Longest Yard.
Oh, this is a remake, yeah.
This movie.
Yeah, my thought would be a third remake.
This one.
So part 4, who would do it?
We're going back to association football this time.
Okay, yes.
There isn't hard man in football anymore.
Skirtle.
Is he still playing now?
I think he might have just retired. I don't know.
See, I have no
played
idea
for a long time.
who you guys talking about. See, that's the
He
thing,
played
man.
for Liverpool.
Martin Skirtle, defender.
No,
Yeah, Martin
no,
Skirtle.
No star power for me.
Yeah,
You gotta have
he
star
doesn't
power
have
unless
power.
you got two
Slovakian.
buddies who are.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, no.
Perlo. No, not Perlo. What's his name? Gattuso.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But he's too old at this point.
Now he's too old. But right now, who's the hard man? I don't even know. There isn't any, really, is there?
Do you just get guys who kind of like do the shit housing? Like, would you get like Sergio Ramos in there or Pepe?
Oh, I'd say if you are, you have to get Andy Robertson. He's number one in the world right now at that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it'd have to be
If he's
someone
not,
like
he's a
that.
close second. So
So the idea that popped in my head halfway through talking about this is we've already had 3 male versions of it. Women's soccer's on the rise. Let's do a women's version of this. I mean, you have Orange is the New Black, which is one of my like
That's true.
favorite prison dramas. I mean, you have
transition it.
NWSL. Women's Champions League is coming to DAZN, so it's going to get more exposure. Maybe we get like
Yeah,
women's soccer in there. We get Christine Sinclair and the
Hope
Danny.
Solo. We get Hope Solo in there.
Oh.
She fits perfectly.
Good shout, man.
There you go, man.
You call
She's already
call it
she's been to prison.
She Machine. She Machine, and it's the 4th one.
She's been to prison already, so she fits right in.
No, she has. I don't think she was.
I think
She had that whole drunken
was arrested.
fight with her boyfriend or whatever.
She
Didn't they
just got
steal the
arrested.
team van? They stole the Team USA van and went out.
Also, another thing. Yeah, that was another thing she did. I think she was in jail at least for a couple days. I almost think I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure she was,
Good shout,
or
Chris.
maybe a holding cell. But
Okay, so She Machine starring Hope Solo. I like it.
there you go.
Go for
All
it.
right. Before we rank this movie, I'm going to let you guys know about some number ones at the time. So this came out on Boxing Day 2001. Number 1 film at the time. Not surprising if you know the era. Lord of the Rings: Fellowship of the Ring.
Oh,
First in the
that might be
3.
the best movie we've ever had in these little retrospectives.
Yeah. Were you guys Lord of the Rings fans at the time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Read the books a couple of times, went to the cinema day 1, yeah.
I remember I had like one friend in grade 5 telling me he read the books and he showed it to me and it was like much thicker than like a 5th grader would have read. And I was like,
That's why you got to buy them. So I have the thicker one now, but back then I had them as separate volumes. So as a kid, it made it feel way less intimidating.
Yeah. So yeah, I did see this one in theaters and this was one of the first movies where like it led directly into the next one. It left on a cliffhanger where it was a Boromir gets killed in the forest and then it just ends. And we weren't used to that. It was kind of like, where's the rest of the movie, right? So it's
And even though I guess it had happened before this, but one it like all filmed back to back to back, right? Like it was all planned.
Yeah, they filmed all 3 at
out.
the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's all coming out years apart because we've already filmed them all.
Yeah, an amazing trilogy. I mean, the whole thing was phenomenal.
Mhm.
Hobbit, not so much, but that's a whole other story. Number 1 song at the time, and I'm so interested to hear your guys' takes on this because neither of you guys are Canadian and you wouldn't have been in Canada at this point. At least I don't think so. Nickelback, How You Remind Me.
Oh,
That was huge in the US. I remember that. Huge in the US.
it was huge in
Yeah.
England as well.
So was it cool?
At the time, I guess.
Like they've always kind of been a bit of a joke.
It was like cool, but then it became one of those, once it was overplayed, everyone thought it was lame.
But then they came out with
Well,
Look at This Photograph right after.
Yeah.
And then you look so much better with something in your, I think, mouth. It's
I
they were
remember.
a strange band.
Yeah.
Yes, they were.
This song was huge, though, in England. It was number
Okay.
1 for what felt like ever played in
Yeah.
clubs and stuff. Like,
Yeah,
Interesting.
definitely.
yeah, huge song.
Okay, so in gaming, this is another interesting one. A month earlier, David Beckham's Soccer was released. Familiar with that one?
Okay, I own it.
Adam has it. Adam has like every game as part of Joy Pass for Goalpost.
I can't see it. Do you know
okay.
what? Actually, I think I have it, but I don't have the case for it, so I won't be able to see it. Either.
So you might
I
have
definitely
it.
own
It's a PS2, so it'd be in the jewel case. But
Yeah,
this is such an
I
interesting time. Like up until a couple generations ago, like any soccer player would have a game out.
Yeah, there's
Right?
so many of them. Ronaldo v Football, tons of them back then.
Was there? I think there was like a Roy Keane one in the '90s. Or maybe I'm thinking of another
Yeah.
player.
There's
I just remember
Chris
two
Kamara's
US.
Street Soccer.
Yeah,
Jeez.
Called
That's
that.
another one
Yeah,
I've
like,
seen,
there's
yeah.
a whole lot of terrible ones.
yeah, it's straight up. Yeah, so up until a couple generations ago, I'd want
Yeah.
to say, but I guess developing games at that point was much cheaper. You just take an engine and slap a skin on it. Soccer wise, there was nothing of note. Like I scoured everything. Pretty uneventful and like EPL. The most interesting tidbit that I could find in just like world football was that this was post 9/11. So all of the regular season matches for MLS had been canceled, and instead they played a playoff series of the top 8 teams, which I don't think we've seen anything like that since until COVID, but it's pretty interesting. And, well, Matchday matinee table. Number 1, Marvelous. This is the movie we did on our last episode starring Toby Jones. Chris, have you seen that one? No, it's the story of Neil Baldwin, Stoke City Kitman. I think Adam and I would both recommend it. Obviously, it's number 1, so great movie. Second place, Rudo y Cursi, which is a Mexican movie. Third place is Looking for Eric. Have you heard of that one? Seen it?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. We're moving along nicely here. Fourth place is Soccer Dog, the movie.
Above Soccer Dog.
Have you seen it?
I listened to your podcast about it, so no, I did not.
You have to see this movie, man. Like talking about Erie, Pennsylvania, and like random soccer magazines on the shelf. Soccer Dog, like Soccer Dog could have been playing at the park down the street in Erie.
It probably was.
Baggio, The Divine Ponytail in 5th, and My Summer with Des in 6th spot. I'm going to go first because I think I like this movie less than you guys. I'm putting this after Looking for Eric in the 3rd spot, before Soccer Dog in the existing 4th spot. So this would be number 4 for me. So after Looking for Eric, before Soccer Dog. I'm more likely to rewatch this movie than Looking for Eric, because Looking for Eric was a pretty heavy film, but I still think it was more. It was well done compared to this movie. I'll leave it at that. It's not so much of a football movie, which is kind of one of the criteria that we rank on. So that's the only thing that was keeping me kind of guessing about if I should place it higher than Looking for Eric. But Adam, what's your take on this one?
I was actually going to say exactly the same.
Okay.
It's definitely better than Soccer Dog for me. This is a weird one, though. I guess I found Baggio so bland.
Yeah. So much potential.
Yeah, it's weird. But then I dislike some of the parts of this film more than I dislike Baggio in a weird way. It's one of those where I don't understand how Soccer Dog's higher than Baggio, but then I also do because Baggio was really boring. So yeah, I think it's no way better than Looking for Eric. No chance. It's like a way funnier film. Like, yes, it's heavy. There's a film though. You want to talk about a film that has a heavy subject matter, but still very like well-placed humor? Looking for Eric, it all works. Like when they're having like that scene where they're all sat around the psychology and that one guy, like that scene's really funny, but there's a purpose to it. They're trying to self-actualize and help the guy. Eric.
As well as the pub scene where they talk about modern football and the effects of
about City of Manchester.
Money,
like that's funnier than most of Mean Machine.
But that movie completely falls apart in the 3rd act, though. Suddenly becomes a heist film.
Trashing rich man's house. Yeah.
So Chris, we're both saying 4th place. Are you going to argue it for it to be higher?
I agree. 4th place.
4th place. Fair enough.
4th place is fair.
Awesome.
We're yet to have a guest on that's like adamantly that we're wrong in our rankings, which is good because I don't want to go through that because it's awkward.
Well, that's not true because I mean CPL Wooden Spoon. I don't know if I was going to rank Soccer Dog in 4th automatically, but he sold me on it, man. We were having a good time talking about it.
True.
A lot of fun. Another movie with great potential, but it performed better than Baggio for me. So the new Matchday matinee table is in 1st place, Marvelous. 2nd place, Rudo y Cursi. In 3rd place, Looking for Eric. In 4th place, we have this week's film, Mean Machine. In 5th place, we have Soccer Dog the movie. In 6th place, we have Baggio, The Divine Ponytail. And in 7th place, My Summer with Des. Good so far?
Happy with it.
Perfect. So with that, we've just crossed over the halfway mark of the season. We're now into the second half. A lot of movies planned for this season. I think we have a Halloween movie set in stone. It's terrible. I don't want to do it, but Adam has proposed. Yeah, Adam has proposed a movie called Kick. Sudden
Just
Death. Kick. In some markets, it's called Sudden Death. Kick.
Okay.
Sudden Death. And I'm guessing they had to do that because of the Jean-Claude Van Damme film, Sudden Death.
Yes.
Okay.
So Adam has proposed it pretty strongly, but we'll see. I think I might have to give Adam this one.
We got to do it.
Definitely.
So yeah, look for that one in the future. Chris, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for the suggestion of Mean Machine. What are you going to be up to in the near future? Where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Chris Keem. Pretty easy. Yeah, that's pretty much about it. Just say hi there. I check that more than anything else.
I think your account is private, so send him a request.
Yeah, so you have to
let him know how you found
it.
It
Might actually be public right now. So
you're public, back to public.
I think I might have opened it up for a little bit. I do that once in a while.
It's like Twitter verification. They open up for a little bit and they close it off again. That's your account.
Yeah, I should be verified. I had over 1,000 people. I'm very upset. I do not have a blue check, but
did you apply?
I tried, but nothing happened.
They're pretty strict, yeah.
Yeah. So, but I don't have a Wikipedia thing about me, so I think that's what you need. So
you need Wikipedia, a few articles about yourself, or a Google Trends profile, I think it is.
Yeah, probably. Well, my cousin is the famous one. I am not the famous one.
Yes.
He is the YouTube sensation.
Drama Alert, I think, is that his show?
Drama Alert is his show, yes.
That's such a weird black hole to fall into sometimes. Keemstar and
yes. All of those guys.
Hehe or something like that. Ethan.
I have no clue. I've watched this show like twice. I'm like,
once in a while I fall into the black hole of that. And I'm just like, and then YouTube recommends it for the next year. And you're like, I'm good for another 5 years. YouTube. I'm good.
Yeah. It's always funny when I have interns.
Yeah.
And they realize who I am. And who he is, and they're like, wait. They're like, you know him? I'm like, yeah, he's my cousin. We grew up together. They're like, oh my God, I'm going to tell all my college roommates and they're all going to be nuts. And I'm like, really? Is that big of a deal? Oh, it's hilarious. It happens every semester.
How many followers does he have?
Oh, millions,
right?
Like he makes money.
He's living off YouTube money.
Yeah. Well, Twitch, YouTube, all those things. TMZ, I think, was trying to hire him for something. I don't even know anymore.
We're going to live off YouTube money one day, Adam.
One day.
Yeah,
you have 5.79 million on YouTube.
Jesus.
Subscribers.
Yeah.
Well, until we live off that YouTube money, Adam, where can people find you?
Joypad Goalpost on Twitter and Instagram. Putting up videos of how bad Pro Evo is.
Don't call Pro Evo anymore.
Football.
Start a Pro Evo jar where every time you say it, you put a tip in. Well, you can find Adam and I on Matchday Matinee on Twitter at Matchday Matinee. Follow us on Instagram as well. And if you are listening on a podcast service, leave us a review on Podchaser, Good Pods, or Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Make sure you subscribe. If you're watching our videos, leave us a comment, leave us a thumbs up, subscribe, please. We're trying to get to 500 so we can start doing cooler stuff on YouTube. And follow us on Twitter. We're trying to get to 442 so we can make a Mike Bassett joke. But that's it for this week. I am Mark Guilherme. You can find me on Twitter at Mark83 and on Instagram at A3Football. Thank you so much for joining us, Chris. We were so glad to have you this week. Hopefully we'll have you again in the near future in person. But that's it. We'll see you soon for a spooky October episode. Thank you for joining us. Take care.
Aloha.
See ya.
Yeah.